It's the Bulls Podcast, episode 46.
Hey, Chicago Bulls fans. It's time for your Bulls Podcast. Here are your hosts, Marcus Couch and Wyse Black.
Welcome to the Bulls Podcast, coming to you from bullspodcast.com. This is where we bring you the latest news, reviews, rants, rumors, and opinions on the players, coaches, and front office of the Chicago Bulls. My name is Marcus Couch, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Wyse Black.
Yes, sir. What's going on, Marcus? What's up with all my Bull lifers, man? Got a whole lot to get into, man. It's been a while since I spoke with y'all, so I'm super excited for this one.
And we are joined once again by one of our favorite guests. He is a sports blogger, podcaster, and admin to one of the best Bulls Facebook groups there is. It's Mr. Kenyatta Wright.
How y'all guys doing out there? Bulls Podcast. I'm back for another round.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of topics today to cover, including what a difference 24 hours makes as a Bulls fan. We're going to talk about a lot of the craziness that just happened and a state of the Bulls. Are we too hard on the team or not hard enough? Let's find out. And we've got game predictions for the coming week. We got all that and more after this quick timeout.
Bulls fans, remember to follow the show on social media at Bulls Podcast and at bullspodcast.com.
Yeah, once I shot, I knew it was cash. So that was one of the craziest. That was the craziest game I've been a part of. It's third time cash. Was it not?
Well, guys, what an incredible 24 hours it has been in Chicago Bulls team history. Let's break this down for you. First, Friday night, the Bulls were flat out punched in the face by Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. The final score of 116-108 is nowhere near the reality of the game. The Bulls never even had a chance against the Heat. They played absolutely awful, down 34-16 by the first quarter, including a scoreless streak of nearly 10 minutes to start the game. I mean, Zach Lavine was visibly frustrated after the game. His initial comment was, "We're all out of rhythm and we're trying to find it. We're obviously trying to win. I think we're a really good team. We have some things we have to continue to get better at. We're just not there yet." But then Jim Boylen decided he would get on the mic and chop his players off at the knees and talked about pulling Zach Lavine. When asked about it post-game, he said, "I just pulled him. Not combative. Guys know Zach Lavine and Lauri Markkanen and our starters got to play better for us to become what we can become. That's how it works. I want him to be a two-way player. That's what I want him to be." So Lavine actually, after hearing some of this from reporters, he thought he was kind of the scapegoat for the Bulls' struggles. He asked what Boylen said, and then he said, "Well, I guess I was to blame for it. I've gotten pulled early before by him. I guess that's his thing to do. I have to take it in stride. I'm not the coach." By the way, what did he say I got pulled for? He senses a lack of trust from Coach Boylen, and that pulling, I don't know if that was obviously something that transpired that we're going to talk about in a minute, but he said, "Hey, I'm trying my best. I'll say that. I'm playing my minutes, trying to do the best I can do. It's tough, especially when you're in a rut. If he doesn't trust me, it's hard to trust someone who doesn't trust you." So let's start with this one, the throwing under the bus of your players by Jim Boylen and Zach Lavine getting pulled and his obvious frustration after the game. Now let's start with you, Kenyatta. What was your kind of opinion after the game on Friday?
I thought that Boylen crossed the line here. He shouldn't have put Zach Lavine, threw him under the bus like that. This kind of draws a wedge between the relationship problems that they're already having. I don't know, Wes. I'm going to swing this over to you, buddy. But Zach Lavine responded really well in the Hornets game.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a bit. But let's just talk about this game in terms of against Miami and Jimmy Butler. Wyse, what do you got in terms of thoughts of this moment in time on Friday?
To put it plainly, Zach clearly isn't feeling the job that Boylen has done this year. I think Zach is trying his honest best to keep it PC and not give the media, a soundbite that's going to send everyone into a frenzy. But it's also hard to hold back your frustration after a while, and considering the antics and stuff that Boylen has uttered that while isn't very long. But so now I understand that, Lavine hasn't looked great this year. All of his numbers are down so far in comparison to last season, which is a surprise to most, since a lot of us expected an all-star appearance this year. But, that looks to be fading quite a bit. Although I think, he still has some time, but I don't see it happening. I put some of that on Lavine simply because he's the one suiting up and getting out there. And, the portion that I mostly put on Lavine is on the defensive end because, I'm just sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I see times when, he completely misses his assignments coming off of a screen, or even when he's guarding a player off ball who may quick pop out or slash to the rim, and Lavine completely falls asleep at times. Zach is still your most lethal weapon offensively. And if he's that much of a lopsided player, then it's your job as the coach to structure your team to cover for some of his mistakes. No different than what Boston did when IT was balling for them, or James Harden with the Rockets, Steph with the Warriors, etc. I get it. You want him to be a two-way player. Hell, we all do. But it's still your job to use his strengths to the best of your ability for the team. And the offensive system that they are rolling with this season isn't necessarily conducive to Lavine's game, if you ask me, nor a lot of the other players for that matter. And in regards to trust, I don't think any of the players trust Jim Boylen at this point, because he's shown that he'll cover his own ass before theirs. And what kind of a message is that sending as a leader in that case? Every man for himself, basically.
Exactly. And that seemed like what happened the next game, the Bulls versus the Charlotte Hornets. One night after questioning his relationship with Coach Jim Boylen, the Chicago Bulls' Zach Lavine came through with an enormous game, one that he said is one of the top in his entire life. Lavine had a career-high 49 points, including the winning three-pointer with 0.8 seconds left to give the Bulls a 116-115 win over the Charlotte Hornets on Saturday night. It was undoubtedly the game of the year, and I'll speak from experience. I watch almost every single NBA game from every single team this season. I've seen just about everybody. I work long hours all day long, and I got nothing to do but stream NBA stuff. So that's me. But as far as this game, there's been nothing like it so far this year. There's not been a last-minute comeback that's finished this quickly with this little time left. After the game, Zach Lavine was all smiles. We talk about a revenge game a lot. Wyse and I do all the time, but it's usually revenge against a team you've previously played for. This is something new, a revenge game against your own coach, and what he said not even 24 hours earlier. Coby White, he made 12 field goals in the game, which are the most by a Bulls rookie in a single game since Derrick Rose did that in 2009. And at one point in the game, Lavine turned to Coby and said, "It's you and me." And this may be the start of a desperately needed duo that we've been begging for this season, though it's not the two that we suspected would rise up. After this game, Zach said, hopefully this is that turning point for us. Every team has it. This could be a big step for us in the right direction. It seems Zach got the upper hand with his 49-point franchise-setting performance of ultimate range and efficiency. And regarding his last-second game winner, Zach said, "I knew it was cash." What was displayed all over social media and may have just been a weird camera angle, the Bulls players seemed to shun Jim Boylen in the game-winning celebration on the court. Now, I've watched it a few times, and it really does look like the team is shying away from Boylen, just turning their back on him right on the court. Boylen's rotations have been some of the worst in basketball all this year, but Lavine bailed his coach out on this night. It would serve Boylen well to understand that he's not as smart as he thinks he is as a coach, and he should put some trust in his players. Lavine simply put him in his place with the ultimate clapback. Kenyatta, what's your reaction to the Charlotte win and Zach Lavine's performance?
I think that win is the win that proves that he's the centerpiece of this franchise. And guard packs, if they were thinking about trading this man, they better not. This guy had the game of his career, 49 points. He literally won this game by himself. The Bulls were down by 8 points with 1 minute left in this game, and he hit
Now, I
two
wouldn't say
three-pointers.
I'm going to argue with that a little bit. I don't say by himself. Sato hit a monster shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Kobe White drove to the lane and got an easy 2 when he could have just wasted time. He knew to get some points on the board.
But nonetheless,
yeah,
I get what he's saying, though.
Yeah,
Ryan Arcidiacono,
part of that pie.
Oh, yeah, Ryan Arcidiacono fumbling it on the inbounds to get Zach that last second shot. Yeah, I mean, but the performance by Lavine was amazing, even on – when he made that last second shot. You could even see the reaction of the Charlotte bench was just like, holy shit.
Just when the Hornets needed him. Lead back up to 5. Coby White, Satoransky. They won't go away. Good God. Always in the rearview mirror. Trouble. Loose. Chicago's got it. Oh, no! You're kidding! Chicago wins! I don't believe what I just saw.
Are you kidding me?
5-point lead dips down to 2. Hornets try and get it in. It's ripped away. And Zach Lavine, as he's done all night long, a 3. His 13th. He finishes with 49.
And isn't that what I texted you, Wyse? I was just like, oh my God. I cannot believe what I just saw. So, Wyse, take us through your reaction to that whole moment and sequence and the game in general. I mean, it just seemed like it was another one of those games. Even though Zach was doing great, it just seemed like, here we go again, giving it away.
Look, man, the observation you just made, when Zach turned to Kobe and said, it's me and you, because sometimes I'm doing multiple things at a time, so I don't get to catch everything, when I'm watching the game and all that. But that's obviously a red flag from my point of view, at least for Lloyd Marketing, because that's basically a nod to Kobe from Zach saying, yo, you my man, my running mate, the other half to the 1-2 punch. And truthfully, Zach isn't lying if he actually did say that, because in at least 4 of their 6 wins this season, it's been heroic efforts from both Lavine and White, not Laurie.
Right. Yeah.
That first game of the season when Laurie had 35 and 17, that was in a loss. And ironically, versus this very same team in the Hornets.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. The second thing that stood out to me was the fact that in most of our wins this year, and I alluded to this in my first point, is that we're only going to get a W if one of our players having a heroic or historic night. Outside of games like the one in Detroit where Andre Drummond looked like, I don't know, he was in another world somewhere, because he just played like straight trash. He was super garbage. But I digress
Felicio.
on that. He was straight up the Brazilian marshmallow that game, legit. I mean, well, look, man, y'all know what I'm saying on that. But look, I believe in, what was it? I think it was about 2 of the games Kobe won for us this year. I think he set franchise records for most threes in a quarter by a rookie and most points in a quarter by a rookie. I believe the threes was actually a league record. Sato went off for a career high in the game versus the Hawks when he dropped 27, 28, 27, I believe it was. And now you have yesterday's game where Zach Lavine put up a career high for 49 points and 13 3-point field goals made. Where's the coaching in that? That's not your team winning a game convincingly because of the system.
Yeah, most of the reason why he's winning is because of one-on-one players that can make it happen. This don't have
Exactly.
Somebody's got a favorable matchup somewhere in a game.
Dog, all that is one man putting the team on his back and willing the squad to a W. Boylen does not get credit for that. So as I said in that game where, like, what was it, Kobe, did what Zach did last night, can we expect to rely on that? As awesome and as dope as that was, that was talent prevailing last night, not a coaching system.
No.
So I'm not trying to be a pessimist or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, we can't expect that every night. And this was, like you said, and I thought that was a good one, Marcus, when you said this was a revenge game versus the coach, because that's exactly what it looked like to me. That was Zach saying, look, let me show you something real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
what
saying,
are you talking
who
about?
you talking to?
Who you talking to?
That's exactly what he said.
That was last night. And it was crazy. It was super dope. But what has it looked like on most nights when we would get an L?
Yeah, I don't like the fact that the players pushed him away, though, when he was trying to celebrate with them.
Yo, I didn't even see that.
That was disrespectful, man. You gotta go back and see that. That was a great sign of the divide between the players and the coaching staff. That shot right there. He went to celebrate with them, and they just pushed him away and walked away from him.
Right, you saying you didn't like that from a fan's point of view?
I didn't like that from a professional standpoint. That's your coach. Why would you push him away from you?
I mean, come on, dog. Look at
this, man. A basketball team is a family. A coach is going to have disagreement with his players. I feel like the players take it to another level. When he took Zach out and benched him, he was doing it for Zach's benefit. And I felt like Zach took it more personal than it really is. A coach's job is when he sees that you're struggling and that you need work, his job is to take you out and stop you from further hurting the team. That's the coach's job. So it's not personal. But these players, it's like they're taking things personal against this coach. The only thing that Boylen has done that I disagree with is the time clock.
Okay, so look, Kenyatta, I get exactly what you mean with that, and I actually agree to a certain extent. I think it has what the team did yesterday was, I'm mad I didn't see that. I'm going to go back and look at it, but I believe what y'all are saying. What they did yesterday and not including him in that celebration, in that celebratory moment, was they were basically getting back at him for all of the crap that he would be saying about them, putting all of the onus on them, talking about, it's on them to go out there and play their hearts out and to whatever, to take responsibility for the L's and whatever. Like, it seems like Boylen, he wants to take the credit when the team wins, but when the team loses, then he has no problem throwing the shade on the team and talking about what they didn't do. So I think if that stuff didn't happen prior to yesterday's game, I don't think they would have treated him like that. Okay, it's so all of the stuff that happened leading up to this.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was just more of like, hey, this is our moment as players, because they know this was not a coaching win at all.
But you see, that's the thing, though.
You can't
Marcus,
coach what just happened in the last 40 seconds.
Then that means we're not a team, then, Marcus. If they're saying
maybe not.
This is our win.
Maybe not. Maybe he's got to earn his place as a coach to the players, right?
Nah, man. Look, the players have great camaraderie. If you look at, like, I don't see any of the players getting into it with each other. They all are always dapping each other up, helping each other up when a guy falls down. All of them seem like they're super cool. Heck, even Chris Dunn and Kobe White, they seem like they're super tight when I didn't expect that at all, really. But you look at their relationship, huh?
The guy that's trying to take his spot.
Exactly. But you listen to some of the sound bites from Chris Dunn. He's saying, like, he's taking him up under his wing, like coaching him up a little bit on defense and all of that. So that's super dope. It's not the players that's not a team. It's basically the players versus the coach.
But let me interject real quick. In all fairness for Jim Boylen, these players were not doing what they were supposed to do. So they deserve to be criticized by him.
Yeah,
I'm sick and tired. I've been hearing this for like a week now from my Bullseye members. Everybody is giving the players
not doing what they're supposed to do.
The players, an excuse. Listen, if you don't go out there and do what you're supposed to do, your coach is supposed to call you out. Your coach is supposed to bench you. And I said this on the last podcast, we're rewarding players for work that they're not putting in. Now, can we honestly sit here on this podcast and say that these players have been given 100% and they have been doing what they're supposed to do?
No, not with this record. No.
The only reason why I feel like I'm kind of mixed feelings is because I don't feel like Boylen has been coaching this team right. So if you're not coaching a team right and they're not putting them in a position to win with strategy and plays and everything like that, then how are they supposed to succeed? How are they supposed to go out there and execute when they're not clear what the plan is?
Well, that's what I'm saying, Kenyatta. Like, you no offense, but you kind of contradicted yourself.
No. Listen real quick, Wyse.
Yeah.
Listen real quick, Wyse. What did Zach Lavine do last night?
He came out and balled on the offensive end.
Okay. So listen real quick. You just admitted earlier that had nothing to do with coaching. So Zach Lavine went out there and did that on his own. There's certain things that you can do out there that has nothing to do with the coach. They got to go out there and grind and play hard. They don't have to have plays run up.
Yeah, bro, but you're not gonna have a 49-point game every night, and that's why it's Coach Boylan's job to put those guys in the best position for their offensive skill sets and defensive. But right now we're talking about the offensive end. It's his job to utilize their skill sets the best way, and I don't think that's been happening. You look at all year. You got guys like Chris Dunn jacking up threes. I like that young, but he's not that great at shooting threes. You got other guys out there that's just pulling shots that's really out of their element. And while, I get the fact that, they're changing the whole, offensive system and all that, I still believe you have to have the personnel to play that way. And when you have guys out there, instead of Chris Dunn, who is a slasher and who is a one-on-one playmaker type of guy who's going to get his basket playing one-on-one ball, instead of him using him in that way, he has him pulling corner threes, top of the key threes, side pocket three. Like, that's not his game at all. The same with Zach Lavine. Instead of him stepping in, taking 2 dribbles in, taking a mid-range game, which is where he got his bread and butter last season, a contested three-point shot is better than that mid-range shot. Lloyd Marketing, every basket that he gets in the inside is contested instead of it being a situation where Zach Lavine or Coby White is collapsing the defense so Lloyd Marketing could get a wide-open basket down low. The same for Wendell Carter Jr. Or even a wide-open shot at the top of the key, which Lloyd Marketing gets a little bit more of those than inside buckets, but I'm still saying the buckets aren't coming easily as they should in a great offensive system.
But you know what, Wyse? There's certain players on this team like Shaq Harrison, like Gafford, guys that come out there and
who have a crazy motor, but everybody don't got that in them. Then that's why you have players.
But I'm saying that with this coach, that's how these players are going to have to function. They're going to have to give their all out there, man. This guy, I can see with you, he's not the right coach for this team. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not putting them in a good position to win. I agree with that. But most of these players have it in them to go out there and play well, where it helps the team. Look what Daniel Gafford did in his first game. 21 points. He led the whole
crazy. And
this guy is not playing. He's not getting playing time. That's how I know this coach don't know what he's doing.
Exactly. Come on, man.
Believe it or not, guys, there are worse teams than us in the East.
Oh, no,
some of them,
sure.
Some of them do surprise.
This isn't last season. We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to those guys anymore.
No, I know.
That shouldn't even be the conversation.
The only shocker right now in the league is how bad Atlanta is playing. They lost 6 in a row, man. They are at the bottom, right there with the Knicks.
How about the Portland trade?
Well, John Collins is still out, too.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do some game predictions for the upcoming week right after this. Hey, listeners, if you haven't subscribed to the Bulls Podcast YouTube channel, it's something you need to do right now. You can just search for Bulls Podcast or go to youtube.com/Bulls Podcast and subscribe. We're active with our subscribers and our commenters in every single episode, and I personally respond to every single comment we get. So if you're not subbed up to us in YouTube, please help us out and give us your subscription.
Yeah, guys. Also, throw us a few likes on the content we've added for you there, too. Help us out, people. You can also search for us on YouTube or go straight to youtube.com/Bulls Podcast and click subscribe. It will definitely help us out a ton.
All right, so let's talk some state of the Bulls. Where are we? I mean, this has been some of the most confusing times and games and weeks of the Bulls that you can imagine. I mean, from injuries to underperforming players to a coach that just seems like the wrong guy for the job. The Bulls are on the bubble of a great team and a tank. Which side are we on? We're just waiting to be started up again, or are we just going to shut it down again? That's the question here. So where are we? And more importantly, what are we as a team? Right now, believe it or not, we're just a game out of the 8th seed. 1 game out of 8th. Unreal. The NBA is actually that bad. So is it too early to call this season a wash, or do we need to blow up the roster once more? Believe it or not, there are worse teams. As I said, Cleveland, Detroit, Atlanta, who lost 6 in a row, and the Knicks. So let's start with you, Wyse. Where are you guys with how this season is going, in particular with this snapshot in time of the season? And given that we've got a whole another month and a half here this year, we got a couple more months till the All-Star break. The All-Star break's going to be in Chicago. Dude, if we can punch together some dubs, this could be an actually really good season for us. But I don't know. Do you think it's time that we've turned it, or we got a long way to go still? Like as they said on the Bulls Outsiders last night, is this just a Band-Aid over a bullet hole?
I mean, look, I'm kind of leaning toward the latter with the Outsiders, man, because if you haven't got my drift, my last point, let me put it like this. Talent is what's keeping us afloat. I mean, I don't believe the Bulls will make any real noise if they were to creep in the playoffs, which they very well could. I mean, because like as you said, you know, we're in the East. So, I mean, you know, we're super lucky to be in the East, you know, and as you said, like they could string together some W's or whatnot. But, I mean, we all know that the postseason is a different beast. You know, that's when it's survival of the fittest and may the best coach win. You know, the coaching staff has to really earn their paycheck in the playoffs because that's when you have to use your mental prowess far more than the physical because, I mean, nearly every player is dealing with some kind of injury or soreness. And, I mean, look, let's be real. How many of us expect Boylen to be up for the job? So my attitude right now is not optimistic in regards to our future with this coach. And, hell, I actually feel like, I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself or even getting ahead of myself talking about the playoffs because while we, you know, have had some fun wins, look at the L's that we've took versus dirtbag teams, you know, where in most of them we be leading most of the game to once the fourth quarter rolls around, we look like Barkley and Sean Bradley and them from Space Jam, you know, when they lost their hooping powers. So, I mean –
now, let me ask you this, and we'll go to Kenyatta on this one next, which is, like, doesn't it seem like it's just like we're trying to turn that nut with the wrench and just, like, we just got to get it that all the way tight, right? We got that fourth quarter that just keeps leaking out on us. We just got to tighten it up just a little bit. You think that's it? Just get it solid in the third and fourth quarters?
I mean, I'm going to say one more thing, Kenyatta. Like, my thing is so I like looking at most of the game or pretty much all of the games this year. I think there is a huge problem when it comes to obviously everyone knows rotations, but not only that, but even the schemes, the system that he's running throughout the game. So most of the time, in most of these games, we've been kicking ass in the first, second, even in the third quarter, right? But the thing about an NBA game is, as a coach, you have to learn to adapt, like most of the opposing coaches have been doing versus us. Like when we be whooping the teams in the first half and all that, then they'll come back and just totally flip it on us in the second half. I think it's because Boylen fails to adapt as the game goes along. Like where he'll get out-coached by the opposing coach because then they'll do something to change their defense, change their offensive strategy, and just, you know, they'll turn it around on him. And I think it's a case where he's just not ready most of the time, and he'll continue to try to have the same gameplay, the same game strategy. The guys are gassed. The system is like it's working to a fault for them because he has them playing the up and down fast-paced games, jacking up a bunch of threes. But most of the time, I think that they're on half of their legs. They're probably at maybe 40, 50% by the time the fourth quarter rolls around. You know what I mean? So I think that's a huge issue as well.
In Saturday's game, Wendell Carter Jr., Zach Lavine, and Coby White all played 34 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily think it's a problem with them having them play, a load of minutes, a decent load of minutes. But it's just like, as the coach, you got to find a different way, find a different strategy. Don't have them continue to do the same thing that they were doing in the first and second quarter.
It's creativity. It's creativity, Wyse. What I'm seeing from the Bulls in the first and second quarter is they're just moving the ball around, shooting a bunch of three-point shots. They're moving the ball very efficiently, and they're catching teams off guard with the ball movement and their three-point shooting. But I think when teams catch up to what they're doing by the third and fourth quarter, they shut the three-point shot down and they play zone defense and shut the shooting down. Now you're going to need to have your playmakers in the game. So Boylen has to have his playmakers in the game because we can't beat these teams off a three-point shooting. Now, I'm going to say one thing. The one-on-one with Coby and Zach, that might work against teams like Charlotte, but when you play against teams like the Lakers and teams that are going to the playoffs, teams that have seasoned veterans, we're not going to beat these teams with one-on-one. They're going to call timeout, and then they're going to go in on us defensively, strategically shut down our offensive weapons, our one-on-one offensive weapons, and then the coaching prowess is going to have to come in, like how Wyse is talking about. So this coach creativity has to come in to play at some point, and it's not coming into play at some point. We're trying to beat teams off of three-point shots, and they're shutting that down. And then when we try to play one-on-one, like I said, when we play those better teams like the Lakers and Milwaukee Bucks, that's not going to work. It's just not going to work. This coach is not the coach for us. Like Wyse pointed out earlier, Coby and Zach saved this guy. They saved this guy from public scrutiny because I believe their one-on-one games won those two games for him. So it made him look like a genius when he hasn't really coached. Yeah. So, my thoughts is that this coach just got to get creative, man. He coached as an assistant with Greg Popovich. He was in Houston for those two championships with Rudy Tomjanovich. You've been around some really incredible minds. Like, where's that knowledge that you sucked from these guys? I'm not seeing anything from this guy. Like, what has he could
be just riding a resume too. The guy has no sense,
And listen, man,
that happens, man, a lot.
Yeah,
it does seem like that. But one thing I said on Bullseye the other day that's very key. What I don't want to happen is I don't want Garpex to get rid of good players like Zach Lavine for this coach. Because I think regardless of who you bring in, this coach can't coach. So it doesn't matter who we bring in. It's the system, it's not the players. Yep. We have a lot of talent on this team, man. Look what we was up on the Lakers. Look how we was beating the Lakers by like 20 points. We were up in that game. This team has the talent. But when it comes to the point where things have to be drawn up, plays have to be drawn up, and it comes to coaching prowess, he doesn't have it. And it takes that to beat these better teams.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move to some predictions here for the coming week. We got Monday, November 25th. The Bulls are going to host Carmelo Anthony and the Portland Trail Blazers. I still can't believe I'm saying that. It's going to be really fun to see Melo back in action again, especially at the UC. Wyse, what do you think? Bulls versus Portland. What do you got, L or Dub?
I got to go with Hoodie Melo and the Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh, shit.
I got to.
All right. Kenyatta, what do you got for this game? Bulls versus Trail Blazers.
The Trailblazers seem to be in a funk right now. They lost 6 of their last 8 games. They're 0-3 with Carmelo Anthony. They can't seem to get an offensive system that works for them right now, and they can't seem to fit him into the mix. They seem to be more confused than the Bulls are. Zach Lavine's coming off one of his biggest games of his career, and the Bulls are riding high in confidence right now. The players, not Jim Boylen, just the players by themselves, are running on a tremendous confidence. I'm going to take the Bulls in this one.
Nice. All right.
Your points. Like your points.
Now, that means the Bulls will win 2 in a row, which they have not done this year. That sucks. All right. Wednesday, November 27th, the Bulls actually have a good chance of beating the league worst, limping, tanking Golden State Warriors. They are making zero issues about tanking. They know that this is the end of the dynasty, and they are in blow-it-up mode. So what do you think, guys? Wyse, Bulls versus Golden State.
I could see the Bulls possibly squeaking out a W in this one, but I mean that really depends on like if Coach Boylen can outcoach Steve Kerr, because we've seen games where like just like in this past game versus Brooklyn, when the Bulls got whooped by the Nets and they didn't even have Kyrie and obviously not Katie or Karis LeVert. You know what I'm saying? They let Dinwiddie beat them. So
right now, man, the Golden State Warriors record is 3-14.
Oh man, I mean, I'm in between on this one. I don't know, but I'm gonna go out off the limb and say a W. I'm hoping they get that one.
All right, Kenyatta, Golden State versus the Bulls. Who you got?
You stole my point, Wyse. I was going to say that about the out coaching. I think Steve Kerr is going to outcoach this man.
All right.
The Bulls don't really have anything that they're really running out there. They're playing a lot of one-on-one basketball. I feel like that would be good enough to beat Portland. You put these guys on the floor with the Golden State Warriors, the players that they have on the floor, they still have a cohesiveness. They still have an identity of what they're running out there. And I feel like the Bulls are going to struggle with this team. I'm going to go with a loss. And where's that game at? Is it Golden State?
No, it is here. I believe.
Might have a shot.
No. I'm sorry. I take that back. It is in Golden State.
Well, they're going to beat the brakes off the Bulls.
Yeah. All right. We'll see about that. And I'd say it's going to be a dub, actually. So that would make it the Bulls win 3 in a row. I think this is going to be the Lowry comeback game right here. Golden State.
It has to be. He scored 3 points against Charlotte, man.
All right. Well, it's got to happen sometime. Then Black Friday, November 29th, gives us the rubber band game with the Bulls, again playing the Portland Trail Blazers. This time we're going to go to Rip City against Melo and the Blazers in Portland. Wyse, who you got?
In this one, I'll say that I think that the Bulls will probably take another L. I'm sorry. I think that they'll take another L.
Kenyatta, Bulls at Portland.
For those of my Bulls fans out there that are very knowledgeable about the Bulls' visits to Portland, we've lost like about 15 visits to Portland. I don't even know if we can snap that streak. And we're not going to beat them 2 times in a row. I feel like they'll adjust, especially at home. I got the Portland Trail Blazers in this one.
All right. There must be a really good gentleman's club right next to something in Portland over there, because we just can't get our act together over there. And then finally, the Bulls are going to take on the Western Conference 9th seed, Sacramento Kings. Who you got on this one, Wyse? This is going to be in Sacramento.
I think that the Bulls can possibly take them. I'm going to go with a W on this one. Like, they're 2 young teams that'll be competing against each other, and I think this is going to be a showcase of, like, talent. I think Zach Lavine will probably get up for this game. I'm hoping he does at least. So I'm going to go with the Bulls for this one.
Nice. Okay. Kenyatta, Bulls versus Sacramento Kings in Sacramento.
Now, I'm going to go in full detail on this one. Sacramento likes to shoot the 3. The Bulls' perimeter defense is going to have to be on point. Sacramento has been playing very well. Some of their key victories that they've had this season against Phoenix, 1-point win against Boston at home. They're playing very well at 6-4 in their last 10 games. They're 4-3 at the Sacramento arena. So I have the Bulls losing this game. Matter of fact, this is the main game on the schedule that I have the Bulls losing. So I'm going to go with an L.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to go with a dub on this particular one. I think we're going to be riding it high. And with the exception of that, I mean, I think we're going to actually have a really good week coming up ahead. So we will see. And we will actually take a quick break, and we'll close it all out right after this. Hey everybody, remember we are a new show and we do need your support in social media. We made it really simple to find us with some special redirect links. You can find us at Bulls Podcast on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, and go to bullspodcast.com/Facebook to get tied into our Facebook group. And if you'd like to subscribe to the show, we are on Apple Podcasts at bullspodcast.com/Apple, on Stitcher, bullspodcast.com/Stitcher, and on Spotify at bullspodcast.com/Spotify. And that's going to do it for us. Remember, you can follow Wyse Black on Twitter at @radical_creator, on Instagram at @radical_creator, and on YouTube, just search for Wyse Black. Me, you can find at Marcus Couch on Instagram and on Twitter. Everything show related, you can find at Bulls Podcast and bullspodcast.com. Kenyatta, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Kenny Wright 31. You can also find me at kwlululinesports.blogspot.com. That's where you can find me.
Yeah, you still doing that podcast soon? Talking Bulls?
Talking Bulls, yes, it's a project that I'm working on right now. I have me and my boy Christian's going to be doing it together.
Nice.
It's a project that I'm very proud of, and I'm hoping that the Bulls podcast audience can join us over there as well.
Definitely.
Nice.
For that to happen, man. That's going to be great.
Thank you, guys.
Can always use another Bulls podcast in the family, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
So, until next time, thank you for listening, everybody. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Hey,
Go Bulls.
Bulls fans! This is your Bulls championship announcer, Ray Clay, saying, so long, everybody. Go Bulls!
Once I shot, I knew it was cash. So that was one of the craziest. That was the craziest game I've been a part of. It's the third time in cash. Was it not?